I'm going to tell you guys the story of the time that I actually met James Gunn, the writer-director of Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, among other films. About 2 months after I'd moved to Los Angeles, I was working at a t-shirt company down the street from an ice cream shop. I was outside the ice cream shop in this very long line, and James Gunn starts walking toward the end of the line, and I was at the very end of the line from across the street. I said, "Holy crap, is that James Gunn?" My heart started racing, it was palpitating. Like when you're about to ask out a girl and you're like getting really nervous and you're gonna get rejected for prom. Is that just me? That's what it felt like. But James Gunn was approaching me with his girlfriend next to him, and I got so nervous, and he stood next to me, and I tried to play it cool, and I turned to him and I said, hey, Mr. Gunn. Golly gee, Mr. Gunn. But I'm a really big fan, and I just want you to know that you've impacted me a lot. He was like, no way, that's awesome, thank you so much. I was like, would you mind if I got a photo with you? So we got a photo, and I'll put it right here. But then I got to tell him one of the most crazy things that ushered such a reaction. Quick backstory. When I was driving across the country to move to Los Angeles from Indiana to LA, I stopped for a couple nights in St. Louis where my grandmother lived. I was eating dinner one night with my grandmother in her retirement home. We were in the cafeteria, and this older woman was sitting alone. And my grandma, being the nice woman she is, was like, hey, we should invite her to eat with us. So then it's just me, my grandma, and this woman. My grandma was like, oh, my grandson Jared here is actually moving to Los Angeles. This old nice woman, Mrs. Hume, was like, no way. One of my old neighbors moved to Los Angeles many years ago, and I think he's doing all right. I'm sitting here like, yeah, everybody has somebody they know or somebody that knows somebody that moved to Los Angeles, and especially when you're in the Midwest, there's not a ton of them. I feel like every time somebody from Indiana moves to Los Angeles, and somebody texts me about it, and she was like, yeah, he actually just had a movie come out recently, and he had a talking raccoon in it, and I thought it was so funny how his movie had a talking raccoon in it, because when he used to live next to me, he and his brother used to get into trouble for feeding the raccoons and making the raccoons want to come back into my yard. And I was like, wait a second, there's not a lot of movies out there that have talking raccoons in them. There's only two, to my knowledge, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Big alarm comes off in my head, and I lean into this woman, not like physically, but like metaphorically. That'd be insane if I was like, are you talking about James Gunn, writer, director of Guardians of the Galaxy? He's not just doing all right. Guardians of the Galaxy felt revolutionary when it came out. She goes, well, if you ever meet him in LA, tell him I said, hey. My eyes were rolling into the back of my head. LA's a massive city. I'm not just gonna run into this one celebrity who probably lives in like Malibu. But then there I was, standing next to James Gunn and his girlfriend, and after our photo, I go, hey, just so you know, Helen Hume says hello. And his face went, what did you just say? And his girlfriend got really concerned, like I had just threatened him. She goes, James, what does that mean? That was my childhood neighbor. How do you know my childhood neighbor? And I was like, yeah, I met her through my grandma at her nursing home. And then I let him be for like 20 minutes. He's on a date with his girlfriend. I don't wanna be annoying to him. I don't want people to be annoying to me when I get famous. And we're going through the line. I ordered this one flavor of ice cream called like coffee bourbon, and he looks at me and he's like, you really think that'd be good? And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's good. I had it last time. So AKA, we're friends at this point. We have Peter Quilled and Rocket Raccooned each other, if to use the language of James Gunn. James? Is he watching this video? And my heart is palpitating like I just won an Academy Award for being a character in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. James, are you out there? Okay, I know you're not. I'm thinking to myself, like, I can't contain this excitement that I'm talking to James Gunn. This is too big of news to contain. So I lean into the person scooping my ice cream, and I said, hey, that's James Gunn. And they said, who is that? Guardians of the Galaxy director. And they said, that's pretty cool. That'll be $6. And after James paid for his ice cream, I was about to walk away, and I said, hey, James, when I say I'm a big fan, what I mean is I bought 40 tickets to Guardians of the Galaxy 2 when it came out when I was in my small college town in Indiana. Quick backstory on that, back in college, one of my favorite things was to get massive groups of people together to see the movies that I was excited to see. Star Wars, I bought 50 tickets to Force Awakens, I bought 59 tickets to Rogue One, and I bought 40 tickets to Guardians of the Galaxy 2. over the finals week of their respective semesters. I bought 40 tickets to Guardians of the Galaxy 2 so I could see it with 39 of my absolute best friends. It was so fun for those movies because I'd walk around before the movie started. I'd be like, thank you so much for coming to my movie, even as if I made the movie. Thank you so much for coming to Star Wars, as if I was J.J. Abrams. I'm not J.J. Abrams, because I knew at the end of the day that enough of my friends wouldn't buy tickets in time to see it together, so I just needed to buy a ton of tickets and sell them out at sticker price. I didn't make any money off of this, okay? I tell James Gunn that story now. I didn't tell him about how I also bought that many tickets or more for Star Wars. James Gunn looks up at me and he smiles real big and he goes, "What is your name?" And I said, "Jared Castlepalm, sir." And he said, "It's nice to meet you, Jared." And he shook my hand because he hadn't before. But now, because I had bought 40 tickets to his last movie, it merited a handshake, apparently. That's a new rule that I jotted down for when I get famous. If somebody buys at least 40 tickets to your latest project, that is when you are allowed to actually become their friend. I walked away with my ice cream, instantly call my mother, because when something like that happens, you know me, a good Midwestern boy, my first instinct is my mom is gonna love this. I walk around the block for like probably 45 minutes because I can't get in my car because I'm so excited that I just met one of my absolute heroes. The story of the time I met James Gunn. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it's been as fun for you to hear about this as it was for me to experience it. And that's on not knowing how to end a video.